trauma, teaching me to measure my worth by what I fear I have lost. Relief that his words are real. Pain that healing will require me to trust not just him, but myself and my own body as a woman still worthy of longing and desire. In that moment, I understand the fragile, complicated truth of intimacy after motherhood. It is not simple, it is not immediate, it is layered, evolving, sometimes tentative, often messy, but it is real. Desire and love can coexist even in bodies that carry the marks of life, even in hearts that bear scars of fear, doubt, and insecurity. And hearing his truth for the first time, I glimpse a path forward, not one that erases my fears, but one that allows them to coexist with love, intimacy, and the reassurance that I am still enough, still chosen, still desired. And perhaps, I realize, that is what I've been longing for all along. Not perfection, not youth, not a body untouched by life, but recognition, desire, and love for the woman I am today, in all her vulnerability, all her scars, and all her strength. For years, I have carried the question silently, like a stone lodged in my chest. Do you still find me attractive? I have imagined every possible answer, rehearsed every scenario in my mind, and yet the truth remained unreachable because I could not bring myself to ask. I watched him across the room sometimes, his presence warm, his love steady, and my insecurities whispered relentlessly. He is with you, yes, but does he truly desire you? Does he long for you the way he once did? Or has the passage of time, the changes in your body, shifted that desire elsewhere? When he finally speaks, it is not with grand declarations or dramatic assurances. It is quiet, measured, but deliberate. His words are honest, vulnerable, and sometimes hesitant, revealing a depth of thought and feeling I had never considered. He does not promise that everything is perfect or that my body has remained unchanged. He does not erase the stretch marks, the softness, the curvature altered by motherhood. Instead, he speaks truthfully about love and desire, how they have shifted, evolved, and grown with us over time. Listening to him, I begin to see that desire is not only about physical perfection, about youth, or about untouched bodies. It is about connection, intimacy, history, and shared life. His attraction to me has not disappeared. It has changed, deepened, and intertwined with everything we have built together. He wants me, not an idealized version of me, not a younger, firmer reflection of who I once was, but the woman I am now, a mother, a lover, a partner, a woman who has given everything and continues to give her heart and body freely, even when vulnerability is terrifying. Hearing this truth is both comforting and disarming. I realize that so much of the fear I have carried, every imagined glance at another woman, every moment of hesitation during intimacy, every shadow of doubt, was born not from him, but from my own insecurities and the internalized trauma of believing a woman's worth is defined by her body. His words challenge everything I had assumed about his desire. They are not magic. They do not erase the scars, the doubts, or the nights spent flinching away from his touch, but they begin to chip away at the fortress of fear I have built around myself. Even so, the wounds remain. I still flinch at intimacy. I still wonder if he notices every softness, every curve, every line that motherhood has left behind. I still measure myself against younger, firmer women, fearing they may occupy the space I assume has been quietly lost in his desire. But his truth reminds me that desire is not static, and that love, even when complicated by insecurity and change, can encompass admiration, longing, and passion. I feel relief, yes, but it is a relief tempered by pain. Relief that he chooses me, desires me, and finds me beautiful in ways I often cannot see myself. Pain that I doubted him for so long, allowing fear and comparison to dictate my perception of him. Relief that love is deeper than I imagined. Pain that the journey to fully trust it, to fully trust myself, is ongoing. Hearing his truth illuminates the complexity of intimacy after multiple pregnancies. Desire is not guaranteed, and love does not erase insecurity, but recognition, affirmation, and vulnerability can begin to bridge the gap. It is a slow process, a careful rebuilding of trust in both his eyes and my own reflection. It is realizing that my body, though changed, is not less, that my scars, softness, and curves are markers of life and strength, not signs of loss. In that moment, I understand something profound. I do not need to be the woman I once was to be desired. I do not need to erase my sacrifices, hide my motherhood, or disguise the evidence of life in my body. Desire and love are not static. They grow, adapt, and evolve with time, patience, and intimacy. His truth shows me that I am still enough, not despite my body's changes, but in spite of my own fears and doubts about them. And yet, the lingering ache remains. Healing is not instantaneous. Desire may be acknowledged, but the scars of years of insecurity, comparison, and imagined rejection will take time to soften. Trusting that he sees me fully, as a woman, as a lover, as a mother, is a process, a delicate navigation of vulnerability and affirmation. It requires courage, reflection, and patience. Finally, I realize that what I have been longing for all along is not perfection, youth, or an untouched body. It is recognition, affirmation, and desire for the woman I am today. A desire that acknowledges the scars, the softness, the strength, and the love I bring. His truth does not erase my past fears, but it gives me a foothold, a small, steady assurance that I am still chosen, still wanted, and still capable of inspiring passion, even as I continue to navigate the insecurities that life and motherhood have etched into me.
For years, I have measured my worth by the reflection in his eyes, by the subtle cues of attention or indifference. I allowed his desire, or my perception of its absence, to define how I felt about myself, my body, and my place as a woman. Each pregnancy, each change, each stretch mark became evidence of loss in my mind, proof that I was fading, that I was no longer the woman he wanted. I became trapped in a cycle of doubt, comparison, and quiet resentment, longing for reassurance that rarely felt complete. But slowly, I began to see that this approach has been flawed. His gaze, his words, his actions, they are part of my life, but they are not my foundation. I begin the painstaking work of separating my body from my worth, realizing that confidence cannot be borrowed or validated entirely by someone else. I cannot measure my beauty by his desire alone. I cannot define myself by what I fear he might prefer in another woman. I begin to look inward. I study my body in the mirror, hesitantly at first. I trace the soft curves of my belly, the marks left by life, the subtle sag of breasts that have nourished my children, and slowly, with effort, I begin to see a different story. These marks are not failures. They are evidence of survival, of endurance, of creation. Each scar, each softened line is a testament to the life I brought into the world, the love I poured into it, the sacrifices I made willingly, fiercely, fully. My body is no longer a battlefield of fear. It is a map of what I have lived, and that, I begin to understand, is beautiful in its own right. Learning to see myself again does not erase the years of doubt or the lingering insecurity. There are moments when I catch myself comparing, flinching, retreating, but I practice gentleness with myself. I remind myself that desire is not the same as worth, that being chosen by someone else does not validate my existence, and that love, even his, cannot be the sole measure of my confidence. I begin to give myself permission to feel beautiful without apology, to occupy space without fear, to exist without constantly questioning whether I am enough. I start to take small steps in reclaiming my body. I wear clothes that make me feel seen. I touch my skin without shame.
I allow myself to move, stretch, and dance in ways that remind me of freedom rather than judgment. I notice the way my body responds to care and movement, and slowly I remember what it is to feel alive in it again. The process is uneven, filled with setbacks and triumphs alike. Some days the doubt crashes back with full force. Other days, I glimpse the woman I am reclaiming, and it feels like breathing for the first time in years. And as I build this fragile, growing confidence, I see a shift in my relationship with him. I am not seeking validation as urgently. I am present, yes, but I am no longer defined by the shadows of imagined rejection or comparison. Desire between us becomes more genuine, more reciprocal, because it is no longer burdened by the weight of my insecurity. I am beginning to show up fully, not only for him, but for myself. And in doing so, I find that I am desirable in ways that cannot be measured by youth or perfection, but by the courage and authenticity I bring into our intimacy. The journey is far from over. Self-confidence, after years of feeling invisible and unworthy, is a slow, uneven climb. There are moments of doubt, flashes of fear, and reminders of the trauma that has shadowed me. But I carry a new awareness. My worth is intrinsic. My body is a vessel of life, love, and resilience. And my value as a woman, a mother, and a partner does not rest solely on the gaze of another, but on my ability to honor and embrace myself fully, even when the scars and softness remain. Learning to see myself again is both reclamation and revolution. It is saying to the mirror, to the world, and quietly to him, I am here. I am enough. I am desired, not because I am perfect, but because I am whole, because I am me. And slowly, with patience, I begin to believe it. For years, I measured myself through the lens of his gaze. Every glance, every pause, every hesitation became a verdict on my worth as a woman. My body, once a source of pride, had become a landscape of anxiety. Stretch marks, sagging skin, softening curves. They were not symbols of life or survival in my mind, but evidence of loss, loss of youth, loss of shape, loss of the woman I once believed he loved. Each pregnancy added a layer of both wonder and insecurity, and each child I bore left me feeling simultaneously proud and afraid. Proud of what my body could do, afraid of what it might no longer inspire. The slow work of reclaiming myself begins with acknowledging that my worth is not his to define. I begin to separate my body from his approval, to disentangle confidence from the fear of rejection. I start to see that the admiration I crave cannot be the foundation of my self-esteem. It can complement it, yes, but it cannot create it. I am learning that I have the right to see myself as worthy, desirable, and complete, even if my body is not the one I once idealized. I stand before mirrors I once avoided, studying my curves and lines with a tentative curiosity. My belly, marked by the evidence of multiple pregnancies, is no longer a source of shame. The stretch marks running across my hips and stomach become stories of survival, proof of the life I carried and nurtured. My breasts, once firm and youthful, now hang differently, bearing the memory of children fed and comforted. Each mark, each sag, each softening line tells a story, and slowly I begin to see the beauty in that story. I remind myself daily that confidence cannot be borrowed from anyone's gaze. It is not found in his admiration alone, nor in compliments that come too rarely to quiet the inner critic. Confidence must be built from the inside, cultivated in the quiet moments when I touch my body without judgment, when I allow myself to move freely, when I choose to look at myself and whisper, "You are enough." This work is neither simple nor immediate. Some days the fear and doubt return in full force, crashing over me in waves of insecurity. I flinch at intimacy. I compare myself to younger women. I wonder if he longs for someone untouched by time and motherhood. But the difference now is that I recognize these thoughts for what they are: echoes of past trauma and societal messages, not facts about my value or desirability. I am learning to meet these thoughts with compassion instead of surrender. I begin small, wearing clothes that make me feel alive, moving my body in ways that remind me it is strong and capable, allowing myself to touch my skin and see softness without shame. I smile in the mirror at the woman staring back, not a perfect body, not an untouched body, but a body that has endured, created, and survived. And each small act becomes a seed of confidence, slowly pushing back against years of doubt and self-judgment. As I begin to reclaim my own perception of myself, I notice subtle shifts in my relationship with my husband. I am no longer waiting for validation, no longer shrinking in response to imagined disappointment. Desire between us feels more authentic, more reciprocal, because it is no longer overshadowed by my fear of inadequacy. I can show up fully, not as a body to be judged, but as a woman fully present, softened, scarred, but wholly myself. I also begin to acknowledge the emotional weight I have carried silently, the fear of rejection, the imagined comparisons to younger women, the quiet torment of assuming he might desire someone else. Reclaiming my body is inseparable from reclaiming my heart and mind. I am learning to honor my sacrifices without shame, to value the life my body has created, and to believe that my worth is not diminished by the changes that come with motherhood. Learning to see myself again is both reclamation and liberation. It is a declaration. I am here. I am alive. I am worthy. And gradually I begin to feel it, not in flashes, not in perfection, but in small, steady moments of recognition, moments where I move, touch, smile, and breathe in my own skin with the knowledge that I am enough, that I am still desirable, still chosen, still seen, not despite my body's changes, but with them. This chapter of my life is not the end of struggle, but the beginning of empowerment. Confidence and self-love are ongoing journeys, cultivated slowly with patience, gentleness, and persistence. I realize now that reclaiming my body is inseparable from reclaiming my sense of self, my right to desire, and my belief that I am fully deserving of intimacy, passion, and recognition, not as someone I once was, but the woman I am today. For the first time in years, I am learning to meet my reflection with compassion instead of judgment. I am learning to honor what my body has done, to forgive what I once feared was lost, and to embrace the woman I have become. And in that embrace, I find a small, precious flicker of freedom, the freedom to see myself, desire myself, and live as a woman whose worth is hers first, and no longer defined solely by the eyes of another. The fear does not disappear overnight. It lingers, a quiet shadow at the edges of my thoughts, whispering that I am no longer enough, that he might look elsewhere, that my body, softened and marked by motherhood, could never truly inspire desire. Some days it grips me so tightly that I flinch at his touch, shrink in my own skin, and retreat behind layers of self-doubt. I have carried this fear for so long, letting it dictate my perception of him, myself, and the intimacy that once felt effortless between us. But today, I make a choice, a deliberate, courageous choice, to stop measuring myself against younger bodies, tighter curves, or imagined rivals. I stop letting comparison govern my worth, and I stop believing that his desire is the sole indicator of my value. I begin to understand that my insecurity has been my prison, and that the first step toward freedom is claiming my right to feel beautiful, wanted, and worthy, even when my body bears the evidence of life and sacrifice. I start to see my body differently. The scars, the stretch marks, the softness, they are no longer symbols of failure, but of resilience. Each mark tells a story of children I carried and nurtured, of sleepless nights, of patience, of love that was given wholly. I begin to acknowledge the strength it took to endure, to create, to give, and to continue showing up every day. My body is a testament to survival, and survival is beautiful. Healing does not mean perfection. Healing does not erase the years of doubt or the moments of flinching, the nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if he still desires me, the whispers of inadequacy that creep into my mind. Healing means choosing myself, even when fear tugs at me. It means meeting my reflection with compassion rather than criticism, embracing softness rather than resenting it, and allowing myself to exist as a woman with worth, independent of external validation. I reclaim myself not only as a wife or a mother, but as a woman who still deserves love, desire, and peace. I am allowed to want passion and intimacy, to feel desired without shame, to inhabit my body with confidence and joy. I remind myself that being a mother does not erase my sexuality, my sensuality, or my right to be chosen. I can give love freely and still claim it for myself. Choosing healing over fear also means opening myself to vulnerability. I allow him to see me, truly see me, not just the body, but the insecurities, the scars, the history, and the heart behind them. And in that vulnerability, I find connection. I discover that intimacy is not about perfection or youth, but about trust, honesty, and mutual acceptance. I realize that he does not desire an idealized version of me. He desires me, soft edges, scars, and all. And in that desire, I feel seen, wanted, and alive in a way I had long forgotten. The journey is ongoing. Some days the fear returns, sharp and insistent, but each time I remind myself of my choice. I remind myself that my worth is not contingent on comparison, youth, or perfection. I remind myself that I am allowed to take up space, to desire, to be desired, to move through the world fully and unapologetically as a woman who has given much but is still whole. I choose to embrace healing over fear. I choose to honor my body, my experiences, and my desires. I choose to reclaim the intimacy, the passion, and the joy that motherhood and life have sometimes obscured. And slowly, I feel the walls I built from fear begin to crumble. I am learning to love myself as fiercely as I have loved others, to desire myself as boldly as I have desired life, to exist as the woman I am today, not diminished, not invisible, not defied by what I have lost, but radiant in the strength, resilience, and beauty I carry within me. For the first time in a long time, I feel it, a quiet certainty that I am enough, that I am worthy of love, that I am worthy of desire, that I am worthy of peace.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences on this deeply personal topic. What we've heard today reflects a reality that many women quietly carry: the fear that their bodies, after pregnancy and motherhood, may no longer be enough in the eyes of their partners. It's natural to have these insecurities, especially in a society that often places unrealistic expectations on women's appearance. But it's important to remember, intimacy, love, and attraction in a lasting relationship are built on far more than physical appearance. The bond between partners grows through shared experiences, trust, and emotional connection, not just through bodies or youth. Your worth is not measured by the number of pregnancies or the way your body changes. It's measured by your strength, resilience, and the love you give and deserve. As a medical professional, I want to reassure every mother that these fears are common, valid, and worthy of attention. Seeking support, whether through counseling, honest conversations with your partner, or self-care practices, can help transform anxiety into empowerment. Pregnancy and motherhood may change your body, but they do not diminish your beauty, your sexuality, or your value as a partner. So, as we close, I encourage every woman listening today to embrace herself fully, honor the journey her body has carried her through, and trust that the right partner will continue to see her for the whole incredible person she is, inside and out.